Hello, Stuart here. If you cast your mind back to around about February at the beginning of this year, I did a video where I said I wanted to do something which showcased where 8-bit games were better than the 16-bit counterparts. I was going to call this series Better in 8-bit. As you can probably tell, nothing much has actually happened. I've not actually created any videos yet, and that's for a number of reasons. Firstly, my youngest son has got quite bad eczema, and it's only till recently he's actually been sleeping long enough for me to actually get some spare time to do anything, because before this it's basically been a 7-month battle just to get him to sleep to any length of time. Secondly is because I wanted to do a really good introduction. Now, my original idea was to actually have the 16-bit background of a game with the 16-bit characters playing it, and then the 8-bit characters come along and then start beating at it, so it'll play it better. Or if it's some sort of shooting game, I mean, the 8-bit character come along and shoot the 16-bit character. Now, that was actually harder than I thought it was going to be. I had to download sprite sheets and make them to animated GIFs and put them to backgrounds using Adobe After Effects, which I've never used before. And also, many of the sprite sheets, there just wasn't the games that I wanted there. I actually resorted to try and make my own sprite sheets by playing the game, creating a save state, and there are certain tools out there that actually read the save state, and you can actually try and extract the sprites saved within the memory from that. I got a couple, not as many as I liked, but it was an awful lot of work. And I think basically the project idea was just out of my league. I wasn't good enough to do it. Didn't have the time, didn't have the skills to do it. So I changed my method, and I made a new introduction, which I'm quite happy with. Again, I had to learn how to do this new introduction because I've never done anything like it, and I think the way I've done it is not the most efficient, because it took 4 hours to render, and I had to render it a couple of times as well. So there we go. Anyway, so I'm in a position now where I can start making these videos, and I'm hoping to have the first episode up in 2 weeks, and probably release them every 2 weeks after that. I think I'm going to do 6 for the first series. Now, the reason I'm going to do in series is I'm going to have certain rules for each series. For example, this series, the rule is it's got to be the same game. It can't be a game of the same name, it's got to be trying to be the same game. For example, I can't compare the Atari ST version of Robocop with the Amstrad version of Robocop, because the Atari ST is an arcade port, and the Amstrad is actually its own Robocop game, so I can't compare those two. Maybe in Series 2 I'll start doing things like that, where games are changed and made it better. But for this series, it's not. Now, there's a couple of points I need to make out for this. First of all, I am not looking for a time where every single 8-bit game is better than every single 16-bit version. That's not the point of it. Some people my age who had the Commodore 64 and even the Amiga and the Amstrad and the Spectrum and whatnot will remember when they actually bought a game in the cardboard boxes. The back of it used to show the graphics of each system, because it's just a very cheap way of not making the same box. I mean, repeating the box. You basically got the same box, and you used just a little label and it said what version it was, or a little bit in the corner of the box said what version it was. So the back of the box actually had graphics from each system, and I remember looking at, for example, picking up Ghostbusters 2 and looking at the graphics, oh, it's alright, but then you see the graphics of Ghostbusters 2 and the Amiga, and you're thinking, that looks a lot better game. So the idea of this video is to bust that myth. Just because it looked better, and sometimes it didn't look better, it doesn't mean it was a better game. Now, the era which most of these games have come from are the 80s to the early 90s, and the main 16-bit system at the time, which had the same game as the 8-bit one, is the Amiga and the Atari ST. And sometimes it feels like I'm just bashing those two systems, because most of the comparisons I've got set up are for the Amiga and the Atari ST. So this is not an Amiga or ST bashing system. It's just so happened that they were the main systems, the main 16-bit systems at the time most of these games came out. Jump cut. Missed a few things out there. Now, the first episode I'm going to be doing of this, I'm going to compare in Last Ninja 2. I'm also then going to compare Renegade, and then I think I'm going to do R-Type. But in the meantime, if you think of any games where you think the 8-bit version is better than the 16 same version of game, drop me a message or put it in the comments and I'll check them out. I want to say a very big thank you to Waterflame. He's the person who graciously allowed me to use some of his music for the introduction. He is a great young video game composer. I actually played Castle Crashers when it came out, and I actually recognised a couple of his tunes because I've actually been listening to his music for quite a while. So there's a link below. Please check him out. Please give him support. He's absolutely brilliant young composer, and frankly, I don't think he gets half the recognition he should do. As usual, thanks for watching, and I hope to have a video up soon. And here's a little treat, a little preview. Here's the introduction to Better in 8-Bit. Thanks a lot.